Chemistry Room Fragrances is the perfect addition when elevating the vibe of any space. Whether if it's your home, car, or office, and something needs a quick refresh, our room fragrances provide that beautiful burst of fragrance with just one quick mist. Shop now at www.chemistryroomfragrances.com and be sure to follow us on Instagram at Chemistry Room Fragrances. Chemistry Room Fragrances. Smells so good. Hey, Dr. Autry, how are you doing?
Hi, Camille. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing good. Other than fighting the allergies, I'm doing just fine. So
Wonderful.
at
You
some
look
point,
great.
it's going to go away, but you know how it is.
Well, you look very great.
Thank
Thank
you. You look
you.
beautiful as always.
Thank you.
No problem. So we're gonna get right into everything. Hey everybody, it's your girl Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and creators connect. Tonight, my guest is the one and only Dr. Tamla V. We met many years ago. Fast forward, here we are once again. It just amazes me how life can be so full circle. Be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe and follow me on Instagram at Camille.Essick right there at the bottom of the screen. And we also have merchandise available on my website at thechemistryroomfragrances.com. Be sure to use the coupon code GBM15. And also, we have merchandise on my storefront on Amazon right there, as well as my Etsy store. In addition to Good Black Men Official, I have merchandise for the brothers as well. You know, I can't leave my brothers out. So go ahead and grab that now. With that being said, Dr. Autry, what is new in the neighborhood? Like, I haven't talked to you in a minute. So, for those that are not familiar with you, let everyone know who you are and what you do.
Awesome. Well, Camille, again, first and foremost, thank you so much for inviting me on the podcast again. I had such a wonderful time on last time, and I'm just so grateful, honored. You're doing marvelous, and I want to say thank you so much. For those who don't know me, my name is Tamla Autry, Dr. Tamla Autry. I'm born and raised from Alabama via Nashville, now Brooklyn, Jersey. And what I'm all about is just serving God, being an educator and an author, and just being able to be of service of however I can. So I'm out here just trying to fulfill my purpose, girl.
And you wrote some books, right?
Yeah, so I wrote about a year and a half ago 6 personal memoirs that really spoke to me that I hope is a blessing to others. And I just want to say thank you for all who purchased, who read. The outpour of love was so wonderful. But I have 6 personal memoirs that you can find on Amazon that are free to purchase right now. But again, I want to say thank you to all who reached out and who bought those memoirs.
And before we hop into everything, Dr. Tamla, what was your inspiration in as far as becoming an author in that journey?
Wonderful. God had been dealing with me already to just give back through personal experiences that I had gone through. Like one of them was my journey to becoming a mother, which is something that as women, we don't talk about a lot. Like sometimes women don't have children by the age that what is expected of them to have,
Mhm.
and sometimes we don't realize that maybe it's a fertility issue or things like that. So I wanted to be transparent and let women know that just because you don't have a child right now or you have not been blessed with a child right now does not mean that God has not forgotten about you. It doesn't mean that you are not valued. It does not mean that you are thought less of. I just wanted them to be encouraged and to know that we're in this fight together. So books like that, in all my personal memoirs, you will find me being transparent and authentic to
Mhm.
let women know that you're not in this race alone. that we're working together, that God has us. So that was my inspiration. I just wanted to let women know that we're in this fight together.
That's really good. I think, and you and I have the same background as far as church, how there's a label, like if you're not married and you haven't had a child by a certain time, there's a stigma associated with that. And maybe we can have that conversation at another time. But I think it's so important that we do have those conversations and to let women know that just because you haven't had a child and been married by a certain time, it doesn't make you anything any less of a woman, or like you haven't accomplished certain things or hit certain wickets or milestones by then. There's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with you. We all have a path in life and you
That's right.
still have purpose. And so I would love to have you back to have that conversation as well.
Wonderful. Of course. Of course.
So I guess that kind of trickles off into our first topic as far as filtering advice or suggestions and staying the course. Because as you mentioned, or as we're talking about growing up in church and having those labels, and then people will suggest things to you. So, Dr. Tam, how should we, particularly as Black women, filter through advice and suggestions and staying the course as far as what God has given us?
Well, Black women, white women, Chinese, whatever color you're in, as females, what I would suggest is that we have to keep our focus on God. We have to keep our priorities straight. We have to realize who we are and what God has for us and is still for us. Many times, I think what we get hiccuped on, if I could say that, is when we take our eyes and compare ourselves to others.
Hmm.
Everybody has their own course, everybody has their own race. So you have to be fulfilled in knowing that God has a purpose for you. And whatever your purpose is may not look like everybody else, but just stay your course. And so that has been very helpful for me to know that things might not happen as quickly, Camille, as I have wanted it to, but it might not come, as you wanted to, but he's always on time. So all I'm saying is you got to know you got to know what God has for you. You got to know his promises he has for you. Don't look at, like, Camille, what God is doing for you is for you. What God is doing for me is for me. What God is doing for the next lady is for them. But we just got to know that it will come to pass. The timing might be different. The way he does it might be different, but we can't compare ourselves to others. We got to just rely on what God has promised us and stay the course through the thick and the thin, because we know sometimes what we see doesn't always add up to what God tells us, but we just got to hold on. And I just want to encourage somebody. I don't know why I'm leading this way.
Go ahead.
Just hold on. I'm a living testimony that it may seem hard sometimes. And believe me, I'm a witness. But one thing about God that I have learned in these years is that he is faithful to the T. He will provide. He will come through. He's not like man. He's not going to lie. He's going to see about you. He loves you and he's going to take care of you. So just hold on for real and see what's going to come, because in due time you're going to reap. And I know that's so cliche, and I know that you hear that a lot, but all I'm saying is God got you. So just hold on. Don't be like me, who have done things out of timing and then you got to pick up the pace. No, just hold on and just be still.
That's good. And see, that's the energy I want. That's why you're here. I definitely want you to be able to feel free to encourage the listeners and viewers, because we do need to have these conversations. I think it's so important because we, especially with social media, Dr. Tam, there's such a, what I call the spirit of comparison, right? You see everyone's posting their wins. Oh, I got engaged. Oh, I'm taking this trip. Oh, I just made a $10,000 a month. Oh, I just made my first 100K. And it can make you question yourself. It can make you question, like, well, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Or is it too late for me? And so really having to go through those thoughts and say, no, like you said, I'm in the right place at the right time. So can you kind of touch on, Dr. Tam, the importance in this space when we have social media right here in our faces, the importance of fine-tuning our ear to God for our purpose and our time?
Right. That's a great question right there, because when we look at social media, I'm on social media. I like being on social media. It's a great networking, but we have to remember that, like you said, everything we see on social media is the good part. No one shows like the process. Like, for example, I love to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Camille, I will be up in a moment. I will travel on the spot, but no one realizes that I had to work a job. I had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I have to, you know what I'm saying, and get ready. And I work so I can enjoy life. So therefore, no one sees the behind. You know what I'm saying? No one sees, like, for instance, you were able to graduate. You were just telling me how you got your master's. Nobody saw probably the tears that you went through. I don't know about you, but through my doctorate, I went through a lot of tears. So no one sees that. So my thing is, don't get caught up so much on what you see, because what you see is not always the real story. What you see is your behind the scenes, what you are living out each and every day. So, and I think that's a thing that's tricky with social media, is because we can get so caught up, Camille, on who's looking good. I mean, even in the filters, everything could touch up, you know what I'm saying? But God sees you, you know what I'm saying? You see yourself. So the thing is, we got to get real and know that, yes, it's good to have social media, but this is not reality. Reality is what you do behind the cameras every day, 24 hours, and how you're hustling and how you're making a difference. That's reality. Tell people what you've been through. Tell people how you really got there. Tell people that, you know, it hasn't always been easy, but through God, through the help of my family and friends, I made it. You got to be real. Tell the whole story. You know what I'm saying? Right now, everybody can get it just like that. If you want bigger boobs, you can get bigger boobs. If you want a bigger butt, you get a bigger butt. Whatever you want, you can get it like that. But it's like, to me, and I'm sorry, Camille, if I'm blabbering, but it's
No,
like,
please, you are doing an amazing. First of all, those watching and listening, let Dr. Tim know she is killing it, and don't apologize because you are bringing it. So keep going.
but it's like, for instance, when you want to lose weight, you want to get snatched. You know, everybody want to be outside. It's about to be summer. Well, guess what? I have to go to the gym every day. You know what I'm saying?
It's
It
a
would be easy.
process.
It's a process. I mean, I could easily go get, you know, everything tucked, but I won't value it because I have not gone through the process. When you go through the process, it's more of a validation. It's more of a value that I made it through the thick and the thin. Instead of just grabbing it easy and just, you know, and just whatever, the process, and I can't believe this, because I never like going through the process, but I have found out that the process is where you get the value. That's where you grow. That's where you get validated. It's through the process that you learn that I can do this. I'm stronger than ever. You know what I'm saying? I am a survivor. So it's that process. So again, what you see on social media, be careful, but at the same time, value the process in real life. And what they are showing is not always what's real, okay?
That's good. And we also have to monitor our ear gate, our eye gate, and our mouth
Yes.
gate. And so when you are having these feelings, maybe you need to unfollow some things on social media or reduce the times that it's popping up in your social media. Because as you said, there's good and bad on social media. But if it's having you to question yourself, your worth, and your value, you need to reevaluate what you're looking at, or even do a social media fast and just pull back from it altogether and take that time to pray and to pour into yourself to kind of reset. So, can you kind of touch on that a little bit more, Dr. Tam?
Most definitely. I find myself that, and I'm glad you said it, that I do have to like fast from social media, and not
Mhm.
only just social media, but news itself, because there's so much going on. And it's so much like, not only like people are saying this, they're showing me this, whatever, but it's just so much going on in the country right now that
Mhm.
you have to, like I say, protect your energy, protect your space, protect what comes in. As the last podcast, remember, Camille, I specifically said that I am a proponent of positive. What you speak to me has to be positive. What
Yes.
goes out of my mouth has to be positive. If it's not of the Lord, don't speak it to me. I do not like negative energy, because guess what? It affects your spirit, it affects your soul. So sometimes you have to say, you know what? No social media today, no news. I'm a news person, no
Yes.
news today. Even people that you know who comes to you to try to give you negative reports and things, not that you just don't dismiss them, but not today. I have to protect my space. God, I have to protect me. You know you. So therefore, whoever comes into your space, who gives you negative energy, who talks the things that are not of God, you have to protect you. That is your space. Because what I find out, Camille, is that you go home and you're like, why am I feeling this way? It's because sometimes negative spirits come upon you. And it had nothing to do with you. It was that person who spoke negative to you. So protect your space and just make sure that people who are speaking into you are speaking what God has ordained for you and also speaking in positive things. You have to know that, if it's not of God, you can dismiss it. So just make sure you protect your space. And what you see on social media, if you know it's not good for your soul, if you know if it's not good for your spirit, that you need to change that.
That's really good. And in this space of, we're growing with grace or gracious growth, as I call it, um, I really believe that you can grow and not be nasty, right?
Right.
You have some people that are like, new year, new me, new year, who it is. All these mantras that we hear. So can you kind of unpack, Dr. Tam, as far as the importance of growing in grace or growing graciously?
Most definitely. Growing in grace is something that is a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, and it takes time. It's like God, the scripture says, from glory to glory, from faith to faith.
Hmm.
You have to be open. You have to come to yourself and say, God, just help me to see me and help me to be who you help me to be. I realized even from the last podcast, I'm not the same person that I was then. And it's because God continues to want to grow us. God is continuing to move. God is continuing to want to elevate us. So my thing is you have to be open. And the way you could be open is you have to spend time with God. You have to carve out time. Like I carve out time in the morning because I know me. You have to, whatever, any relationship that you want to grow, you have to carve out time. So you have to carve out that time to pray. You have to carve out that time. You have to be intentional about it. If you want to change, you have to put some work into it. And God will increase you. He will allow you to grow graciously. He will lead you. He will guide you. But you have to be intentional about growing, as you're saying, graciously. You have to be intentional about seeing change in your life. So that is what I would say about that.
That's really good. I think also in that space, we can experience hiccups where you grow and you're in a new place, a new chapter, but sometimes your mind and where you are spiritually, they don't always catch up at the same time, right? And so you can be in a new chapter, but still have an old mindset. And so you feel this tug or conflict because it's like, I'm in a new space. I
Mhm.
know I've been healed in other areas, but sometimes your mind wants to revert back
Yes.
to the way of how you used to think, how you used to move. And so it's like a training, like having to really, say, no, we're not there anymore. We're over here. So, what are your thoughts on being in a new chapter, a new time, new space, but still combating those old mindsets?
I would say that it's normal, but you can't stay there. And the reason I say that is when I moved from Nashville to New York,
Hmm.
I knew this is where God wanted me to be. I knew I was here on purpose. But I'm going to be real, Camille. It took me a minute to get my mindset to
Hmm.
shift. My body shifted, my spirit shifted, but my mind did not shift because it was new territory.
Right.
And when you're used to doing habits or used to being in a particular place, then therefore you have to do a mindset shift.
Hmm.
And what I'm saying, and then finally I'm like, God is like, I have this open door for you. I got everything for you. There's new territory, there's new harvest,
Hmm.
but yet my mind was still back there. So God couldn't really bless me at that time because I was still like trying to hold on to what was comfortable
Right.
until I asked God to help me to transition my mind, not just my body and spirit, but my mind. Then that's when I began to really get in God's flow and to really see his blessings. And what I'm saying to anyone is that don't let your mindset keep you behind from really, really accessing what God has for you.
Hmm.
um Whatever is back there, there's a reason it's back there. Wherever God is trying to take you, it's going to be okay. It might feel unfamiliar, it might feel uncomfortable, But guess what? In order to change, sometimes it has to be uncomfortable, but just know that God has better for you. So you have to ask God to help my mind. Help me to think, to see what you're seeing, oh God, so that I don't miss out on blessings trying to hold on to things in the past. The things in the past is what it says. It's in the past. And I feel like God is taking someone, is trying to move you forward. And he's saying, just let me have free reign. Let go. Just let go and let God have free reign, because what is in front of you is better than what's behind you. You can't do nothing about yesterday. It's the future. It's the present. So I know it may seem difficult because I've been there, but Camille, since I asked God to shift higher, since I asked God to shift my mindset, I never found so more joy as I have now. Never had so much peace. I never had so much experience the relationship of God. This harvest is beautiful. So I'm saying it might look scary. What in the past, don't cry over the past anymore. It's in the past. Yes. Let it go. God has said, I'm moving you to new territory. You might not know the language there, not everything. Because you know what, when I came up here, not everything was so black and white, like it said in the South. Right. I have my Trinidadians, I have my Jewish, I have my Orthodox, I have my Caribbean, Puerto Rican, you know, I got I got all that, but guess what? It's preparing you for something. So I'm saying just go forward, let God do it, and be surprised at how quickly he starts blessing you. So shift that mind, whatever you got to do, but it comes through, and I'm a proponent of prayer. It comes through prayer. It comes through fast. It comes in just trusting God. If we could trust each other, if we could trust our man, I don't have one yet, so pray for me.
Me either.
We could trust one. We surely could trust God, who knows us best and who loves us.
And you said something that really triggered another thought, Dr. Tam. And the faster we align, the faster the next thing comes, the blessing comes. So can you kind of unpack that just a little bit more as far as how we kind of waver a little bit? But the faster we align, the faster we get exactly in the right space mentally and spiritually, how much more quickly doors and other opportunities and things can open up for us.
Okay, you know I'm about to get.
Go ahead,
I'm going to get churchy, Camille.
Come on, me too. We from the same place. You have the floor.
I loved about working on the altar was when someone got the Holy Spirit. When someone was filled, you know, we don't catch it. We get filled with
the flu.
We don't catch it. And one reason I love seeing someone being filled with the Holy Spirit is just when they surrender. You know, we call it tarrying. It's like we'll tarry for 30 minutes on the altar, but when they just let go, it's like the tongue just start. You just start speaking in tongues. The Holy Spirit just swoosh. And I compare that to the blessings. When you just trust and you just really let God, it's just like, he's like, I've been waiting on you. God has been waiting on us to just let go and to trust him. And it's just the blessings begin to pour. And I just think about, and I'm just being transparent, when I moved to New York, and I was like, God was like, I'm going to move you to a new position. And I was like, man, how is he going to move me to a new position? And I was like, you know what, I'm going to trust you on this. And then all of a sudden, I get a call. And then this guy, who's like a superintendent now, he was like, I saw your interview. He's like, there's something about you. He's like, I don't even have a position for you. He said, I'm going to make up a position for you.
Wow.
And I was like, what? And when I say I got it just like that, I was like, okay, God. Because I started trusting God. And then God was like, okay, I want you to move up. I want you to upgrade. You see what I'm saying? Upgrade your living space. You're living too low. I was like, God. He's like, I got your funds. You're going to live in your means. I want to point that. You're going to live in your means, but I'm going to upgrade you. I was like, how are you going to do that? Okay, God, it's almost at the last. I got to be out of here. I was like, let me trust you right quick. What? I got a garage? So my thing is, it's not so much, but I'm just telling you, when you start trusting God, the blessings. I was like, God, I want to get more involved in my church. I love my church. He's like, okay, get involved in missions. I was like, God, I've never been outside of the United States. I just been in Canada. And then I was like, I'm going to trust you though. I went to Jordan last year and I began to spread the word of God. All I'm saying is when you start trusting God, He's like waiting on us. The doors will open up, but it's a trust process. He said, just trust me. Whatever I have told you, whatever I told you I'm going to do, I will do it. Just trust me. This is a trust process. Our walk with God is a trust process. But when you do, He will open up doors that you cannot even imagine. I would have never thought I would be in the Middle East talking to Syrian refugees, Iraqi refugees about Jesus Christ. I never thought I would happen. But God says, when you trust me, I will move past what you could think, your little minds think, and I'm going to put you on a platform, not so you can say I was at Jordan, but that people can know that the love of Jesus is real. There are people who want to know about Jesus, and I'm going to use you from Lynette, Alabama, to go all the way to Jordan to spread my word. All I'm saying is, when you start trusting God, He starts moving beyond your expectations, and you are holding on to little things. You heard about who talked about you. The program ain't right. No, God says, I want to do bigger and better things. What I have prepared for you right now is going to blow your mind only if you start trusting in me.
What's your cash app? Because, ma'am.
Oh, just pray for me. Just pray for me.
You are dropping major gems. I love this, and this is so on time for so many reasons. Those that are watching and listening, if you have a question or comment, please drop it in, below. I don't know about you all, but it's definitely hitting me because I'm sitting here like, okay, I haven't talked to her. She doesn't know what's going on, but this is such an on-time conversation. So as we dig deeper into this conversation, Dr. Tam, when we are in these spaces of newness and trusting God, how do we embrace our newness? Or sometimes we even have to defend it because y'all people that still want to handle you like old you or mistreat you like your little Tam or little Camille, little Cam. And it's like, I'm not that person anymore. I'm not that person from 5 years ago. I'm not that person from last year. I'm not that person with the glasses and the ponytails. This is adult. This is grown me. So how do you walk in your newness and embrace it, and you're not intimidated by the new chapter, but at the same time having to walk into a space and authentically be the new you?
Right. First and foremost, Camille, let me just say I will still rock a ponytail to this day. But you know that ponytail. But
Yeah.
I will say about this is that, and Asia, my niece is here. I will say this right here is that I specifically, hey India, surround myself with people who has the same mindset with me.
Mm-hmm.
In this season of my life, in this chapter of my life, in this area of my life, I specifically have my friends, my family who are there, who is pouring into me or I'm pouring to them. I feel like in newness, you know where you are, where you're going, what you can take and what you cannot handle. You have to protect your circle.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone you can be, I'm saying to be kind to everyone, to love everyone, but who you allow to speak in your life, who you allow to surround yourself is, if they're not praying for you, if they're not pouring, if they're not causing you to elevate, I try to learn from people. If I'm always around people who are like saying the same, you know what I'm saying, Camille, singing the same old song like five years, no
The
change,
one with me, yes, and
you don't
trauma
want to
bonding,
change,
yes.
you don't want to change at all. That gets on my, that does something to me. That's a pet peeve. You don't want to change at all. Something about you, even your hair color is gonna go gray. So all I'm saying is I surround myself in this newness of chapter. You have to, it's so serious because you could find yourself getting back to your old ways. And you could find yourself being stagnant. And like I said, God is always moving. God is always elevating. God is always updating. God is always transforming us. So my thing is surround yourself with people with who's going to encourage you, who's going to speak life to you, and who's also going to propel you. Because there are people, and you should have someone in your life that wants to propel you, saying, pushing you, that's saying, you know what, don't stay right here. You could do better. I mean, it's called feedback. You don't always like feedback, but I'd rather to have someone in my life that say, Tamla, you got to do better about this. Tamla, I can see that you could don't stay right here. If you have no one in your life that's telling you that, then that's a problem. If you're the only one in your circle that is the person that is telling others, but you have no one pushing you, that is a problem. So in this new chapter, when God takes you somewhere and he wants to elevate you, Surround yourselves with someone who wants to push you. If you have a friend who's not praying for you, then I would say that's an associate. That's not a friend, that's an associate. So make sure your space, your circle is on the same level. I'm not saying you cannot go and mentor. Mentorship is good, but I'm talking about
Right.
the closeness. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with someone who's pushing you to your purpose.
That's really good, Dr. Tam. I think it's so important for us to protect our spaces in the growth. I think boundaries are important. I've been in a chapter of my life where I've stepped back from spaces and environments and people that were not conducive to my growth, not pouring into me. If the space was not equitable, there's no reciprocity. I found myself once I started reevaluating some things, I was always the one pouring out, always the one giving, always the one doing, and I was surrounded by people taking from me to the point where I felt empty. I didn't feel fulfilled, um, and I became angry at myself because I wasn't using my voice. I wasn't advocating for Camille because I was allowing people to do it. And then when I started digging into why I was allowing it, it was like, whoa, okay, we've got to change this behavior. We have to stop this, and I have to stop putting myself in situations with people, whether it's friends or family or acquaintances, where um it's draining me dry and you're walking all over me and I'm not liking how I'm feeling about myself. And then when I needed somebody to be there, you're not available. And
Mhm.
so once I got to the place and started redirecting how I'm moving, oh, you're being funny, you're acting brand new, or XYZ. And it's like, no, I found my voice, I found my strength. But more importantly, I learned the power of no, and I learned the importance of boundaries because I needed to protect the space and I would do the work. And then three steps back because I have this person, a friend or family member, and you're taking me back to this space. And it was like a hamster on the wheel. So I got off the wheel. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Most definitely. And while you were talking, I was thinking about, I call them drain busters, but I was thinking about, we have to have time where we get poured back into. And I was thinking
Right.
about Jesus. Jesus poured out so many, he did so many miracles where it was feeding the 5,000. But always in the Bible, until his crucifixion, you saw where he had time with God. So God himself, dual nature, to pour back into him,
Hmm.
just showing us we have to be poured back into. Not only pour back into God, but we need those family members, we need those friends to make sure they're pouring back life into us. And sometimes it's okay, like you said about boundaries. If someone is not pouring into you, but you're always like giving out and they're always taking and they're always draining you, you have to come to a point to say, no, you have to stop. You have to close that door. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It just means that at this moment, there needs to be a reciprocity going on here. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I understand, this day or whatever. But if you never pour back into me, that's a problem. And that means that you really don't care about me. So my thing is we have to make sure we have boundaries in our walk with God. We have to make sure the people that we have around us are there to also pour into us sometimes. But if we find that they can't, Pastor Sears, Prophet Sears.
That big brother Jamie,
Oh
listen,
my God.
we got to shout out the bishop. He is here. Okay.
Yes, the bishop is here. But the thing is that saints of God, it's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to have boundaries. You can still minister, but when it comes to your personal space and your personal walk with God, if they are always taking it from you and never want to see you go forward, then that's a problem.
That's so good. And before we go deeper into the conversation, as we start to kind of turn the corner, I do want to thank some people for popping in. Thank you to Montana and to Annette Whitaker and to Reese Ponder. Hey sis, Bishop Sears, Big Brother James, he's here. Thank you to Asia and India for jumping in as well. And Facebook user, I don't know who you are. It just says Facebook user, but thank you for joining us as well. As we start to kind of turn the page on that, what are some things that people can do as far as setting a tone or a space, not only to pour out, but more importantly, so they can be poured back into? And what does that look like?
I think that looks like just making sure that when to me, I feel like what arena, whether it's work or whether it's spiritual or whether it's church friends or whoever, like sorority for us,
Yes.
what that looks like is just making sure to show that you care. I feel like we are going through a season and a period where humanity sometimes is cold these days. People just
Yes.
don't show love. So just showing love, just showing care goes a long way. One thing I will say about being here in New York and being here in Jersey is that, sometimes they're kind of mean. You see what I'm saying?
It's
But
not
I
the South.
will, they're not like the South. But one thing I will say is I'm intentional about showing love in my workplace. I'm
Mhm.
intentional about showing love in my church because guess what? Love can move mountains. Love can show that, hey, just a simple, hey, how are you? I don't want nothing from you. And that's what I think sometimes is that we're living in a world where it's like people want something. There's a hidden agenda. There should never be a
Yes.
hidden agenda about showing love. We should have true kindness because we're modeling the love of God. So all I'm saying is we got to be intentional about showing love. People need love these days. As you can see
Yes.
on the news, people need love, they need God, and they need for us to show that love. I'm not saying that yet we should, condone what they're doing and say what you're doing is right. I'm not
Right.
saying that, but I'm saying as Christians, Christ like, we should be showing love. We should be going out. We should say, oh, that's their problem. Or they just mean as a rattlesnake. No, let your love abound so it can shake and move some way. Because what I'm beginning to see, even on my workplace, as by me just showing love, people are wanting to come now and come to church with me. People who haven't been to church in a long time, Camille. And it's not because I go around and say, hey, I'm a Christian. I really don't even say that. I try to make sure my work speak for itself. But I have had two co-workers who was like, I want to go to church. I have had one co-worker who said, I want to get baptized because I see that you're being consistent and you're showing. He appreciates this. So what I'm saying is we got to show love. Just show love and God will do the rest.
That's really good. As we begin to wrap up, Dr. Tam, I do want to leave space here for any takeaways, gems and nuggets for the listeners and viewers, and also where people can reach you on social media.
Most definitely. My first takeaway is God loves you and he has a purpose in mind for you. Don't allow your past to cause you to fumble where he wants you to go. Spend time with him, trust him, and let him have his way and see how he's going to bless you. Know that your purpose is not always compared to the next person, but you have to spend time and be intentional about getting what God has for you and know that I love you. Know it's a process. You guys don't never let no one say it's a process, but know that you can do it. I don't care how it looks, how it may seem, how hard it is. Know that it will be a blessing to you. God has you. And I want to just encourage someone right now who's listening right now. And I don't know why I'm moving like this. And Camille, I don't know why, but I'm just going to say this. You have been praying. There's somebody on here who's been praying for a certain prayer and you feel like God has forgotten about you. And I'm here to confirm, and just as your sister in the body of Christ, that God has not forgotten about you. And I know that's very general. You just saying that. No, I'm being very specific right now. You know who you are. You don't even have to tell me who you are. And I'm just here to tell you that your blessing, your breakthrough is right there. It's like the 23rd hour. You got one more hour. Don't give up, because I'm telling you, if you give up, it's going to take you more time to get back to this place. And you don't have no time to waste right now. We don't have time to waste, y'all. So all I'm saying is don't let go. I don't know what that means.
I think Dr. Tam froze for a second. But as she was saying, just until she hits back, there you go.
Yes, show the love of God and just know that I love you too.
Absolutely love it. Um, wow. And also, where can people find you on social media?
Yes, you can find me on Facebook or Instagram. Facebook, Tamla V Autry, or Instagram, Tamla V Autry.
Wow, I definitely want to bring you back just because um I think we're about to shift gears. Hey, Angela Wells. Yeah, I think we're about to shift gears. And we broke churchy, so that could go anywhere. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Um, yeah, I definitely want to have you back, but just because you touched on some things, and for the second time, because I know people attention span, today
Yeah.
is so fickle, but just some of those points you hit to circle back to that and open that up for maybe a part two of this. But I'm so honored and just
Thank
beyond
you.
thankful. I've always admired you. I'm like, she is fabulous. She's smart. She is
Fabulous.
doing it out here, and I'm just rooting for you in all that you do because I just think you are so dope.
And I'm rooting for you. And again, I just want to say, Camille, you are such a blessing, and what you're doing right now on the platform is God is going to bless you. So again, I'm always grateful. And again, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm chocolate. I'm blushing. You can't see it, but I'm blushing.
What? No, y'all see her supporting her sorority, right? Y'all see that?
Y'all
So,
know. You thank you. And to my D9 sister, I love the fact that we see a lot of shade online, but I think it's
yes,
so important. I think at the end of the day, we all have the same end goal. We may have different methods, but the end goal is the same, which is sisterhood, scholarship, and service, which is so important.
yes, it
So
is.
thank you to my D9 sister for joining me here tonight, and also my sister in Christ. Much appreciated. With
Yeah.
that being said, everybody, I really hope you got something from this conversation. This is Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast. You can follow me right here. I'm on Instagram at Camille.Essick. And please, I'm working to build my YouTube channel. So go there and subscribe as well. And that is at Camille Essick Official. With that being said, this is Camille Essick, host of the Speaker Podcast. And hold on, Tam. This is the podcast where innovators and creators connect. You all be blessed, and I'll see you all next week, Lord willing. Have a great night. Peace.
I know.